you need a special connection with the person you're trying to rescue. Remember that as you train today. Now, meet your opponents! Through this life or death battle, show that you can come to an understanding with them! That's the hurdle you face!
Hello everybody, Megazard X here. I'm back at it again to give y'all, well, normally I would say an exciting episode review, but to be honest, this episode was sort of kind of A-ish, and normally within this like quick 1 minute spill of just like my general overall impressions before I go into a deep dive of this episode in my review, if I were to do that, I feel like I'm honestly going to get through this review fairly quickly because honestly, there is not a lot to talk about within this episode as a whole, though. So without any further ado, let's just go ahead and dive straight up into this mess because I don't even know how long this is going to be, but I can guarantee you it's not going to be that long. We arrive once again at the Provisional Licensing Exam Training Center, where Bakugo and Todoroki plan to redeem themselves for their first failure. Joining them to retake the exam are two students from Shigetsu High School, Kami and Inasa. As a reminder, Inasa and Todoroki's clash in personalities led to a petty fight that got them disqualified, and Kami was attacked by Toga during the original exam and didn't get to participate. We're greeted by some familiar faces as they entered the facility: Killer Whale hero Gang Orca and the sleep-deprived Yokomura Mera from the Hero Public Safety Commission. Gang Orca was very displeased with Bakugo, Todoroki, and Inasa. Although their powers are top tier, their lack of cohesion and teamwork costed them dearly. This time around, Gang Orca plans to make them learn from their mistakes, and so he's devised a rigorous challenge for them: to tame a class of bratty kids. Yes, you got that right. To tame a class of bratty kids. As expected, the second cour of My Hero Academia 4 is not off to a good start. It's pretty much off to a fairly rough start, and in fact, it's so rough that there's really isn't anything for me really to discuss about in this episode. The most important thing that we learned was Endeavor is struggling because everyone compares him to All Might, but that's not even a new revelation. Like, he was questioning throughout the episode, like, alright, what does it mean to be a symbol of peace? And I understand that you actually went through this though, but I really didn't. And I noticed that, hey, you know what, like for the past month, crime has been going up 3%, ever since you retired, All Might. People have been sort of kind of questioning where the heroes kind of standing at, who's going to be the next symbol of peace and everything. Is the time for heroes gone and are villains going to start running amok or whatever, though? A lot of different questions are kind of running through the public's opinion, though, and, Endeavor was just basically picking his brain, throughout the episode, which just happened to be like spliced into there every now and then. And I honestly don't think there was any new information that was given to us in this episode, which makes me think to a degree that this is basically like a mini filler arc to bridge the previous arc that we just got, that will tie into like the school festival main arc as we get to see, in the brand spanking new opening. So the real big issue with this is we know we aren't supposed to expect anything super major and heavy plot wise, but at the same time, I don't think we needed something like this where we finally get to see some of these characters that were sidelined for mostly the entirety of the previous arc through Todoroki and Bakugo, just for them to have a focal point in this mini arc, and that is and unfortunately that's just a little bit underwhelming. And it's just kind of like, it's like, man, we've been missing out on these characters a lot, because honestly in the previous arc the big emphasis was, of course, on our boy Izuku, and you got a little bit with Uraraka, you got a little bit with Sue, you got a little bit with Kirishima, as well as all of the members of the big three, but pretty much outside of that, all of our other Class 1A students they just got sidelined. So to have Bakugo and Todoroki to manage to come back and for them to basically make their debut again, or like, you know, for season 4, and then to have some kind of importance to it, and just to be thrown in this sort of kind of little this mini arc, just to sort of kind of bridge the path between these two arcs. I'm like, man, I was like, this is the most, I mean, season 4 has been really good up until this episode, because I felt pretty good and solid about every episode that's been coming out this season though, but now I'm starting to understand why in the world did most manga readers were like, hey, you know what, the first half of this season is going to be really good, but the second half of this season, oh, no, like we're going to take a back seat for a moment, and we're just going to start put it on cruise control, because man, like, I just felt like most of the plot is just gone. Like, they teased us a little bit in the previous episode with Gran Torino and, you know, trying to follow up on some leads with the League of Villains. I appreciate what they did with that episode, though. But this one, I just felt like they really just dropped the ball on this one, though. There were some funny moments in this episode, don't get me wrong. For example, there were some moments where Kami was, you know, talking with the little boys in the class or whatever, though. And, you know, she started to act as sort of kind of motherly or whatever, though. And then, you know, but there was a little clique of little girls that were like, oh, shoot, there were some haters or whatever, though. It was like, oh, you know what, she got those little boys, you know, just around her finger or whatever, though. So the girls got jealous while the dudes were, you know, we're just like, oh, you know what, I really like this girl, she's super sweet and everything though. But, you know, outside of little things like that, you got to see Bakugo being super you know, hot-headed or whatever though. He wanted to pick a fight with almost all of these kids, even though they clearly can't. You know, Todoroki over there is kind of pretty reserved and whatever though, and he tries to express his opinion or whatever though, but he comes off boring to most of the other people though. And then the other dude is kind of like Inasa is pretty much like a meathead or whatever though, and then, you know, he's just taking a bunch of punches and stuff from the kids though, ain't really sort of kind of reacting to them a whole lot though. And I just felt like they honestly were just flat out babysitting, but they were babysitting to a bad degree, because at least with these kids, you know what, the reason why they're so, you know, bratty or super bad is the fact of the matter that since All Might is out of the picture, there's no symbol of peace. So, you know, even the young little youth are starting to kind of wonder about the fact of the matter, them saying, you know what, since there's no, you know, big hero presence at the moment right now though, hey, you know what, heroes could be no longer a thing so much more. So, you know what, how do we not know that, you know, villains are going to be the next coolest thing on the block or whatever though. And, you know, they emphasize that and say, you know what, it's during these early moments within these kids' lives where, you know what, if they ain't structured in the right way or influenced in a positive light, and you know, through the fact that they're going to start developing their quirks or whatnot though, they could be going down the wrong path though, and they basically shut down any kind of adult approval or whatever though. Like, you know, the lady that was basically the teacher, man, she didn't lead this class worth nothing. These kids were a bunch of brats. And honestly, besides that was about it. And then, you know, towards the end of the episode though, it looked like the kids were ready to have a throwdown or whatnot. So I know at least in the next episode it should be a little bit more entertaining, because at least we're gonna get some fights or whatever though. It ain't gonna be like all out though, but I'm kind of curious to see what kind of new quirks they can show off in the anime on the table though. But that's about it for this review though, so not a lot to talk about though. Honestly, yeah, it's one of my most disappointing episodes, at least so far in this series though. But y'all gotta let me know down in the comment section down below, what do y'all feel about this episode? Are you like just about as disappointed as me though, or are you feeling really mixed or whatever though? But yeah, just let me know down in the comment section below though, because ooh boy, this episode, man, it was rough. But that is all that I have for y'all for this week's episode review over My Hero Academia. So if you really like this video, go ahead and hit that like button, go ahead and hit the subscribe button and that bell to keep up to date on all things My Hero Academia. With all the school kids going wild, they challenge our upcoming future heroes to a battle. But will our future heroes manage to put these kids in line, or will these kids make quick work out of our heroes and continue down this troublemaking path? We'll have to find out about this and more in next week's episode review called Relief for Licensed Trainees. So remember y'all, until whatever video I make next, go beyond. Plus Ultra!